Today, let's go over how you can still make progress in the gym if you aren't ready to lift heavier yet.
I've been doing things that they told me I should never do. I've been doing things that they told me I could never do now. Never do, I could never do. I've been looking back and I'm the only one who ever knew. My dreams begin to turn out.
Sup team, welcome back to the channel. Coach Krys here, online fitness coach, strength and conditioning specialist at the Natty Hour. Today I want to go over 5 strategies that you can look at implementing if you aren't quite ready to lift heavier enough, but the weight that you currently are doing just feels too easy. All right, so say your program calls for you to do 3 sets of 10 for dumbbell curls. You've been doing this for a while where by the time you get to that 10th rep, it definitely feels fatiguing to the point where you are achieving that involuntary slowing that we've talked about in previous videos, but you have been doing this for a few weeks now, and due to training adaptations, your body's getting stronger. Your body is building more muscle tissue, which allows you to lift heavier, where by the time you get to that 10th rep, you're not really achieving that involuntary slowing. Typically at that point in time, that is a good indicator that you're ready to go up in weight. But your program calls for 3 sets of 10. Say you go up in weight and you only have access to an extra 5 pounds and you're able to maybe only get 6 reps. And by the time you get to that 6th rep, you've achieved that involuntary slowing where there's no fresh shot in hell where you're gonna actually achieve your prescribed rep count of doing 3 sets of 10. So what the heck do you do here? Well, like I said, there's a few options. Option number 1 is to just simply do more reps. So it is okay if you venture out of your prescribed rep range. I would say that this is more of a guideline. Your body doesn't really know how many reps it is doing. Your body doesn't really know how much weight you are lifting. All your body recognizes is sensation. So that muscular fatigue, as long as you get there, that is your top priority. So if you're doing 3 sets of 10 consistently for weeks on end and it's getting easier and easier, you don't want to become complacent with that. So strategy number 1 is to do more reps. So stick to the same weight. And if you have to do 11 reps for 1 week, the next week you're approaching 15 reps, then maybe you're doing 20 reps, it's okay. Focus on achieving that muscular fatigue, that involuntary slowing, so that way your body is actually getting that proper stimulus that it needs. So strategy number 2 is to pause in between your transition phase. So we talked about this in a previous video where I recommended you not to bounce your reps. So being very intentional with pausing in between from the eccentric phase to the concentric phase, that's another great form of progress. So let's demonstrate this with a goblet squat, for example. So as we go down, that's the eccentric portion of the movement. So instead of bouncing back up, we're just gonna pause for a couple of seconds here, maybe 3 seconds or so, and then we're gonna push ourselves back up. So again, if we're not quite ready to grab a heavier dumbbell within our prescribed rep count, slow it down by actually pausing in that transition phase. Next, let's actually prioritize just slowing down the movement to a degree. So if you're doing lateral raises, your strength is going up, and you start to notice that your form is breaking down, you're seeing some momentum in your hips, you're swinging quite a bit, let's just drop the ego a little bit here and focus on slowing down your reps. I would try to have a 3-second rep count on the way up and on the way down. So 1, 2, 3. You can pause if you want to as well. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So really increasing that time under tension is really gonna help just ensure that you're keeping that tension on the targeted area, which is gonna be our side delts in this case. So really just slowing down that tempo is another great way to achieve more progress. The 4th strategy is to focus on improving your form and technique. I know that you know how to do a basic bicep curl, but you would be surprised how quickly your form can just take a turn for the worse when you're trying to lift heavier. Ego often gets in the way when one enters the weight room because they feel the need to actually lift heavier on a week-to-week basis to beat their logbook from the week before. And while I still recommend that strategy, we also want to take into consideration that other areas aren't breaking down in order to accomplish that goal. And form and technique is often the first area that does break down when we are trying to lift heavier. So if you're not ready to lift heavier yet, it may be an indication that there is a flaw in your form and technique that might be holding you back. So take some time to objectively analyze your form and technique, review how things are looking, film yourself so you can actually ensure that you're doing a given movement correctly. And if not, be okay with making those necessary changes. If you have to drop the weight back down to improve your form and technique, be okay with that, because that's what's going to allow you to keep pushing forward and have that long lifting career, so eventually you can effectively and safely lift heavier. The last strategy here is to do a drop set. This is actually my personal favorite. So a drop set is where you lift heavier, but you do as many reps as you can, and then you drop the weight to finish out your prescribed rep count. So going back to our dumbbell curl example, 3 sets of 10 here, right? Where we're at 10 pounds. We know that we can do way more reps, so we're gonna actually go a little bit heavier. Maybe last week we could only do 6 reps, but we're gonna give it a go. We're gonna do as many clean reps as we can, achieving that involuntary slowing, and we're gonna drop the weight and finish out whatever reps we have left. So if we grab the 15 pounds, 3 sets of 10 here, keeping your form nice and clean, making sure that it's not breaking down. We're gonna do as many reps as we can. So we're starting to achieve muscular slowing, involuntary muscular slowing, and we're getting close to where it's like, okay, we're at that 5th rep right now. There's no fresh shot in hell. I'm doing another rep. Yep, 5 reps. Okay, well, we're not done our set yet. We're gonna drop the weight, grab the lighter weight right away, no rest in between, and we're gonna finish out our rep count. And that's actually gonna be really fatiguing and create just a lot of tension on the biceps, which is what we want, right? But maybe we finish out the rep count and we can only do, again, achieving that involuntary slowing, where we can only do 5, maybe 6. So we're still within that prescribed rep guideline. So if you go outside of that 3 sets of 10, it's okay, but maybe we get 6 reps at the 10 pounds. So that's a drop set. Very helpful way. And then what I would do to achieve progress, if you decide to continue to use that progression model, I would try to get an additional rep the following week. So still doing your drop set with the 15 pounds, but maybe next week you get 6 reps, and then eventually you'll get 7 reps. And that's how you get stronger and stronger, where eventually you don't have to do the drop set anymore. So these are just a few of many strategies that you can look at implementing that will allow you to make progress in the gym if you aren't ready to lift heavier yet. All I can say is that don't be afraid to get creative with it. Obviously, you can even combine some of these strategies together if you find that, you need to, right? So don't be afraid to be creative. The biggest piece of advice that I can give you all is to not become complacent with your training. It does become very tedious at times, where it does feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. So it's very easy for people to become complacent and just constantly lift the same amount of weight, push themselves to the same level of intensity, and they're not introducing new stress, new stimulus on their body that allows them to achieve the adaptations that they're trying to. We're trying to build muscle here, right? So in order to do that, we have to constantly be putting more stress on our body, and lifting heavier, making progress elsewhere is the name of the game. So there's not a right or wrong way to make progress if you're not ready to lift heavier yet. Like I said, there are many other strategies that you can look at implementing beyond these 5 strategies that we've talked about today. The biggest thing is to not be complacent and not continue to just try to push yourself and achieve progress. If you found this video to be helpful, as a thank you to me, make sure you guys like it, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video.